NoMoreStinkyMonkeys.com production. This movie gets 4.5 bananas out of 5, according to the NoMoreStinkyMonkeys.com website. The Diving Bell and the Butterfly, also known as Les Scaphandriers et les Papillons, is a beautifully told story of Jean-Dominique Bauby, the former editor of Elle Magazine. This Frenchman was only 42 years old when he had a terrible stroke while outside Paris. The stroke debilitated his brainstem, which connects the brain to the spine. It left every inch of his body paralyzed, except, amazingly, his left eye. A major part of the movie is told through that left eye. Bauby managed to write a book about his experiences by blinking to a very patient secretary. This was A, that was B, that was C. You can imagine how time-consuming this was, but he wasn't going anywhere, and like I said, she was very patient. How is the movie different from the similarly themed My Left Foot? Well, for one thing, Christy Brown was born with the cerebral palsy that he worked through to write his book, while this editor was a vibrant, famous, relatively young man when his malady struck. Of the two, who do you think is more likely to do something creative with his suffering? I say Christy, because if it was John Doe, as his friends called him, I think I might turn inward and try to will myself to die. John Doe's ailment is called locked-in syndrome, and it's aptly named. He couldn't even move his head, so his left eye was forced to watch whatever happens to cross his path. Whatever happens to cross his path. Because his right eye's movement was stunted, the doctors discussed doing a procedure on him that they never explain. And since he can't talk, he can't ask. So he just has to lie there while the insensitive doctors sew up his right eye. This is to prevent the water in the tear ducts from getting septic. And since we are getting a first-person account of John Doe's life, you see the stitches going through the eyelid from the inside out. I've seen horror movies that freaked me out less than that one scene. And all the while, the doctor is talking about his wonderful skiing trip. When John Doe first awakes from his coma, you get a sense right away where the movie is going, and it's a marvel. But it is also very claustrophobic, so you can imagine what kind of life that must have been like. At times like this, you might curse modern medicine for having the ability to keep a person like this alive. But he proves to have much more life to give and live through that one eye. And for a man who was surrounded by fashion models in his former life, in his sick life, he is still surrounded by pretty women. His speech and physical therapists, his former lover, and his secretary all managed to fall in love with him, or at least that's the way he tells it. The reference to the diving bell is from the metal diving suit that he imagines himself wearing as his crippled body drops deeper into the murky waters below. The butterfly is how one of his ladies views his still flying spirits. It's not a fun movie, but one that shows how even through the most crippling diseases we can manage to live a better life. It's in French with subtitles from the Predator.